Moving on to the next category, Best Overlooked Movie of 2023. Jay, what do you got for this category?
Yeah, so we'll start with a movie that JD, you and I actually reviewed on the podcast, Master Gardener, the Paul Schrader film that's sort of just been kind of tossed aside over the last several months. The Guy Ritchie film, The Covenant. Again, my beloved Guy Ritchie. He's my number one favorite director of all time. Not quite, but I do like it. You Hurt My Feelings is a film that I feel like the people who have seen it have really liked it, but not enough people have seen it. Rye Lane is a Hulu film that really kind of surprised me. I easily could have put this in surprise movie, but talk about visually inventive comedy. This thing is like alarmingly inventive stylistically. So really like that one. And finally, The Burial, which seems like a complete throwaway of a movie, but lo and behold, Jamie Foxx came in and did like 2 Tomahawk 360 slam dunks in every scene to make it one of the best performances of the year and make that movie so watchable. Like, so I that was a great couple hours I spent watching that movie. But my winner is going to be Rye Lane. Kind of came out of nowhere and I've not heard hardly anybody talk about that movie. So I urge everybody to go and check out Rye Lane. Such an inventive rom-com.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
Like
yeah.
Yeah, good little movie out of Sundance. My nominees are the Christian Petzold film A Fire. That it seems like every year this man makes a movie, or every other year this man makes a movie, and nobody's talking about it, and it just...
I know.
I always get to his films later than I would care to admit. This is one I still haven't seen yet, sadly.
I saw it earlier today.
Oh, okay. There you go.
We should just call this the Christian Petzold Best Overlooked Award.
He gets nominated.
It's because it got bought by Criterion. So they botched the distribution of it. I mean, that's
true.
Why.
I mentioned this. I mentioned her in my best discovery this year, but Raven Jackson's All Dirt Rose Taste of Salt, a movie called Memory with Jessica Chastain and Peter Sarsgaard. I know it's slowly getting out there, but the screeners were sent out, so everybody had a chance to see it. The Royal Hotel, which is Kitty Green's follow-up to The Assistant.
Yeah.
Was a movie that I saw Telluride, and I really liked that film, and I think Kitty Green's very effective in terms of tone and being able to set tension. And my last one is Ava DuVernay's Origin, which is a movie that even critics haven't even been able to get the chance to see because of the just botchness by Neon.
Yeah, they messed that one up big
They
time.
really messed that one up.
They had no idea what kind of movie
that's another one that's not even released as far as when we're recording this. I think that's sometime this month.
No.
Yeah, and it's driven me nuts because no one is talking about it, and yet it's a really, really special film for maybe.
It's a very interesting one. Whether you like the film or not, it's going to spark conversation.
I agree. And I actually think it's her best work to date so far.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't go that far, but I think it's her most talking, or like the one that stimulates most conversation.
Yeah.
For sure.
For me, her definitely very confident from her. And, you know, I'm going to go with Raven Jackson's All Dirt Rose Taste of Salt. And this is a movie that I saw at Sundance virtually, and I fell in love with it. I'm usually not of the aesthetic guy. That's more Jay. He likes the aesthetics of things, and I'm more story driven. But I fell in love with the way that this movie uses sort of the visual language to tell this really personal story that's got a lot to do with Jackson's own upbringing within the South. And so I don't know. It's just a movie that it's on VOD and people haven't seen it, and it really didn't even get theatrical run. And A24, they have A24 is notorious for this. They got 1 million movies that they release, and you really could have put 5 A24 films here, essentially. And their big ones get pushed, like Zone of Interest or Past Lives, but this one goes under the radar, and it's one that I think is really special and people should check out.
That's an interesting talking point, because pretty much any time an A24 film doesn't quite get the same number of legs as another one of their films, it gets really lost in their marketing shuffle. They're really bad at prioritizing the films that they seem as maybe less.
When you get a batch
grabbing
of screeners and it's in there and you're like, wait, y'all remembered? that this was one of your movies? Okay, cool.
I didn't even know it was an A24 film until you started talking about it. But there is an overarching point with how A24 treats all of their films that they acquire each year, because they like to play favorites with the ones that they feel most confident in.
There you go.
That's definitely another case of that here.
They don't have Disney money, Brendan. We have to.
No, but they want that Disney money.
They want those IPs.
Hey, they just
want
gave
those IPs.
Alex Garland who knows how much money for that Civil War movie that looks so smart.
Yeah.
I mean, like, guys,
so
it's not
intellectually.
Listen, the guy that made Men is making a movie about our divided country. Come on, who's not there? Sounds like an early candidate for the Adam McKay Award. You know,
what do they do? But they're doing a what? What's the video game they're doing the movie for now?
I don't
know. New era of A24.
Yeah.
I forget. Anyway,
I have it. I own it. I've played it. I don't know. Whatever.
It's something. Okay, I know what you're talking about. I just forget what it's called. Best overlooked movies for me, I've got The Burial as one of my nominees. I also have You Hurt My Feelings and a few other ones here. This has been a great year for foreign language films. And I also have The Eight Mountains listed here, which I feel like not enough people are talking about. One of the best looking films of the year. Flora and Son, a new film from John Carney. No one's really talking about it. Kind of got buried by Apple TV. I think the movie's pretty good. I don't think it's great, but I think it's pretty good. And there's a new film from Kelly Reichardt, Showing Up. Just the idea that Kelly Reichardt has a new film out. Yeah, another. So I guess the theme continues, doesn't it? My winner here, I'm actually going to give it to You Hurt My Feelings, simply because I actually think it's one of the better written films of the year. I don't think we're talking about it enough. Nicole Holofcener, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. Holofcener? Holofcener. Okay. Nicole Holofcener's work there, I think, is really stimulating. I think it's going to spark conversation for sure. And I think it has a lot of interesting ideas. I think it's one of the better written films of the year. So for that reason, I think the movie is very much overlooked. And we're talking a lot about great writers this year, a lot of newcomers, a lot of veterans in the game. And I think Nicole needs to be part of that conversation too. So You Hurt My Feelings, I think a very underappreciated film in that regard.
A24.
Okay. Yeah. Another A24. All right.
We're on to something, guys.
Yeah. All right, my nominees for Best Overlooked Movie include Showing Up, Kelly Reichardt. I very much agree there. I also have Hinor Palmison's Godland. This is another one of those that was bought by Criterion. It went straight to the Criterion channel when it was released, but phenomenal movie. I have Iris X Passages. This came out in August. I want to say there was at least some buzz leading up to its release, but it's a
movie.
Hasn't been talked about since. But one of the best movies of the year. These last two nominees for me, I think, are overlooked because of how dismissed they've been. One of them hasn't been circulated quite as much, so maybe I can be a little bit fair here, but the discourse is still, qualifies under dismissive, and that is An Hung Tran's The Taste of Things. This is a film that France selected, so it falls under the whole awards discourse that I sometimes quite loathe, but it's not Anatomy of a Fall, so people are immediately dismissive of it, but there is an argument to be made that The Taste of Things is as good as Anatomy of a Fall.
If not better. Excellent. I'll raise my hand. I like it more.
It is very, very good.
Is everyone raising their hands?
Okay. Oh, there you go. Yes. So
I really like Anatomy of a Fall as well. In fact, as we're recording this, didn't it just win Best Screenplay at the Golden Globes? Anatomy of a Fall just did.
I mean, The Taste of Things is not in the awards conversation. It won't be nominated for an Oscar, most likely. I don't know. Maybe it makes Best International Film. Who knows?
It's probably going to make international feature, JD.
Okay. Well, either way, it's not quite in the conversation like Anatomy of a Fall is. But again, it's still just as good. And then my last nominee here, similarly, I think Wes Anderson has been dismissed this year. And my final nominee here is The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, the Ball shorts. And that's actually my winner. I think 2023 was a defining year for Wes Anderson. This is a filmmaker that I already love and adore, and I think we are watching this artist evolve right in front of our eyes. There is a maturity, a sophistication to his features this year that I don't know if he could have made 10 years ago. I don't think he would have been able to do it with the prowess he does. I love Asteroid City. I'll certainly talk about that later, but I think these shorts as an anthology film, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar is some of the best work he's ever done.
Yeah.
It's an astounding depiction of the art of adaptation, a fascinating experiment in narration and storytelling, and how he frames his actors, how they address the camera directly, serving as narrators. Obviously, it's as diverting as it is thoughtful and poignant.
Sure.
I love how he works with Dahl's writing. It's almost verbatim, although he condenses it a little bit. And there's something about that, with Dahl's writing, that divinely complements the Dollhouse aesthetic and his quirky sensibilities. But beyond all of that, it's how he plays and toys with the art of narration that I find seductive. It's absolutely incredible. A cinematic achievement that very few, I think, have been able to match as far as anthology films goes. And the connective tissue of it all as it relates to transformation, whether it be good or bad, there comes a point every single one of those shorts where something shifts and the story takes a completely new turn, and we're forced to wrestle with the story and the characters in a new and delightful way that I quite love. So
I feel like the theme with this whole category is distributors that botched their respective films
Netflix
releases.
Is very much
yeah, it is. It's Netflix, Criterion, Mubi, A24 if it's not one of their like top 3 priorities.
Yeah. But in this case, like the idea of releasing all 4 of these shorts as separate shorts on Netflix, that idea just baffles me. Yeah. Like this really should have been a collective singular experience.
It was made that way.
Yeah, he just did it with French Dispatch.
Yeah. You watch him, you see the connective tissue, you feel the connective tissue. He clearly made those shorts to be watched as an anthology film. To me, there's no debate about it. And Netflix was like, well, we're going to completely.
If Wes Anderson wanted that to be a movie, I think he could have made it a movie.
I think that Wes Anderson.
I have no doubt about that.
I think Wes Anderson wants an Oscar. And I think he split it up into 5 so that he can finally get one in the short category. And I don't have a problem with it whatsoever because this man should probably have like 2 or 3 already. So.
I mean, if that's his priority, then
let's play the game, folks. All right.
Then let's get Wes Anderson and Bradley Cooper in a room.
Ryan coming in being super cynical. Never would have.
He is very particular about his releases. Like every movie he makes, he stipulates this is going to go on Criterion. And then, I mean, he is very particular about how his stuff gets released. I can't imagine that was not his will for those to be released separately. But maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
I don't know. Obviously, we don't know. We don't unless we ask him directly. But if that were his intent to release him that way, I would just say, hey, you're a great artist, man, but I respectfully disagree with your choice here.
Yeah. And if the Oscar is the motive. Again, I have no problem giving awards to Wes Anderson. Please do so by all means. I'm very much okay with that. Right, but I mean, you watch those, and it's very clear they were meant to be viewed together. And so I will argue that. I will stand by that. Die on that hill. However,
Roll Dollhouse.
Roll Dollhouse. I love it.
Exactly.